It is now time to introduce our guest speaker. I invite Prasanna Parak to kindly introduce Dr. Rahmani and to invite him to deliver the lecture.
Actually, Dr. Rahmani doesn't need any introduction, but for all present here, I would like to say that Dr. Asad Rahmani has a PhD in fisheries and has over 170 publications in the field of ecology, which includes 19 books, numerous peer-reviewed articles, papers, and several book reviews. He has served as the director of BNHS, Bombay Natural History Society, which is the oldest conservation network organization in Southeast Asia. He is associated with the organization since 1980. He presently holds the position of scientific advisor to the BNHS. He has dedicated his life to the world of birds and their documentation and conservation. His undeterred love for the birds and the deep desire for conservation of endangered species led him to work hard towards initiating and sustaining intensive conservation programs for vulnerable bird species like the great Indian bustard. He has represented the country in many international conferences and made presentations that indicate his knowledge and understanding of the field of not only avian ecology and biology but also environmental conservation in general. As a principal investigator of several successful projects run by the BNHS, he has led programs such as the IBA, which is the Important Bird Area Program, and initiatives towards grassland habitat conservation. He holds honorary membership of several international organizations and bodies such as the IUCN's Species Specialist Group, the BirdLife and Wetlands International South Asia. He also serves in advisory capacity on various committees of the Ministry of Environment and Forest Government of India. Indeed, we are lucky to have Dr. Rahmani as a good lecturer and to deliver this first lecture in memory of Carl. Doctor, I would like to invite you to please deliver.
I was asked you to come and give a lecture in memory of Carl. I thought first I'll write it down because I may not be able to speak extempo, but it was quite difficult for me to write because there are a lot of memories, a lot of very good experiences. But I'll tell you a few stories about Carl which probably no one knows, probably even Barbara does not know it because she is so close. I met Carl in 1982 and he was brought to BNHS. I think he was 19 years old, young boy. He was brought by Mr. Hussain, who was standing on the other side. And it happens that Mr. Hussain's brother-in-law and Carl's father, they were very close friends and they were living in the same building in Paikala. They were in the Indian Railways and Hussain saw Carl's group as a small from childhood, from a small child, because they were in the same building and they were in the same, possibly in the same floor, no, one after another. So when and Carl was doing his masters in the JJ School of Arts, and he used to win almost all the awards, all the competitions. He was the topmost, and because I came to know later that there were a lot of competitions, and he was always the first. He used to get it. So Hussain brought him to BNHS, and I was at that time working in a place known as Kadera as well as in Sholapur. So I used to be in the field for 2 or 3 months continuously, or sometimes 4 months, and then come for 10-15 days to Mumbai, and then again go to either Sholapur or some other places. I was working in bustards as well as the grasslands. So one day I was going out in the late evening. I saw the light of our collection department, which is one of the most important places of Bombay Natural History Society, and is always locked because we have got more than 100,000 specimens and they are all kept in cabinets, so we keep them very safely. So I asked my चौकीदार, उमा ये यहाँ पे लाइट कैसे जल रही है? काल बैठा हुआ है। काल कौन है? call. He said he used to call him call that. So I said okay. I went out. The next day again I saw some light on. It's around 7 o'clock, and Hussain has already left by that time. So again I asked. Then I went and I saw a young man with a beard, long beard. Even that time he used to have beard. And then I asked him. Then we introduced each other, and then we started chatting. And then slowly, almost every day we used to meet. He used to come from his college, from JJ School of Arts to PNHS around 3:30, and then work for 4 or 5 hours there. And slowly we became a sort of friend. He used to call me. He started calling me Ustad, and he still called me. He used to call me Ustad. And Carl's first visit was with me, and possibly his last visit, long field visit, was also with me. So when I was going to Sholapur, so I asked Carl, will you come with me? He said, साथ छुट्टी है हमारी, मैं चलूँगा. I was very, I sort of reluctant to take a young boy. So I said, you have to get permission you have to get a letter from your parents that you can go with me, because I used to drive. So then he said, oh, my mother wants to meet you. So I went to his house. So she said, she was a very nice lady. You will take care of. I said, yes, madam, I'll take care of him. So we went there, and after that, in 1983 onwards, till almost till 2014, we did very long, extensive surveys. We have been together to Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Andhra, Karnataka, Assam, and which other states are, probably those are the states where I was working. And Carl was one of the finest field men which I have seen. And Barbara is right to say that he will never throw anything out. So once I was sitting in Kutch, in Bunny grassland, he said, क्या कर रहे हो? तेरे जूता सी रहा हूँ. मैंने कहा जूता? तुम अपने आप सी लेते हो? हाँ, बस धागा है वो. He brought this, the mochi wala big needle, and he repaired his shoes. So he used to do everything, and he was one of the, I would say, one of the finest field person in the world with me, because he will help in cooking, he will help in field work, he will help in everything what is possible. And I taught him driving, and within no time he became a very good driver because at that time. So I had a very fond memories. And his last visit, I'll show you the picture. And this is this picture was taken in 1983. When he drew a painting in 1983, BNHS celebrated 100 years, and Mrs. Indira Gandhi came, and there was a function. So Carl drew this picture based on his work as well as the work of the Bombay Naturalist Society. This is showing the is a migratory path of the birds. We work in Karera. Carl was with me for 10 days. We were ringing the birds, as Parag has said. And he will be making the paintings of the bird, because when the bird is in your hand, you can do a lot of things. And he was rightly called as the beak and foot feet man, because he used to draw very well. Next, please. This is the year 1983, and you can see Carl and I am also standing there somewhere. It's a long shot. The whole group is there. You can see Carl. Next, please. And these are some of the samples of the paintings. We have brought out a special issue of Hornbill. Hornbill is our magazine of the Bombay Naturalist Society. We have brought out a special issue with his picture on the cover. So I brought this magazine for some of you. Next, and these are some of my favorite pictures, paintings. Next, please. You see this we have already spoken about these paintings, and regarding the Book of Indian Bird, which is the Salim Ali's Book of Indian Bird, which was first time published in 1944, very long time ago. Any one of us were born there, and as illustrations in those days they were not so good. But in 1994 and 95, Carl redrew all the illustrations, and since that time, the Book of Indian Bird has become the most important book of BNHS. We sell nearly 5 to 10,000 copies, or 6 to 10,000 copies every year. It is in such great demand. Next, please. This is his field visit to when we had a project on the Bengal falcon. We went together in 1985 to see the Bengal falcon in Dudhwa National Park. 85-86 we were in December, and incidentally, interestingly, 25th December 1985, myself and Carl were in Satyana Forest Rest House in Dudhwa National Park, and we celebrated Christmas after watching the florkin. so we had wonderful memories. So when I had a project recently on the same bird, so I said, Carl, I would like, we want to catch the bird for putting the PTT or the satellite transmitter. So then we have a dummy, and he draw the dummy of the male florkin and the female florkin, and it was so easy to catch the bird. We put the dummy because Bengal falcon is a territorial bird, so we put the dummy of the adult birds, and the territorial bird will come, and we have put the noses and we caught the bird. So this is the picture taken in May, 9th May 2014. Regarding the protected area, we have got more than 640 protected areas. Very few protected areas are established in the grasslands, or very few protected areas are having grasslands. And it is quite unfortunate that when Dudhwa National Park was being established, at that time it was Sonaripur Wildlife Sanctuary in 60s, there was a Gola grassland which was adjoining Sonaripur Sanctuary at that time. And there used to be 3,000 swamp deer in that grasslands. And that grassland was not included in the protected area by the forest department. There is no tree, that's why it was not included. Now the whole Gola, there is no Gola grassland left. It is all sugarcane fields and all the 6 are there. So this is the neglect, and it's going on. This neglect is going on with the grasslands for many years. So we have got a wildlife sanctuary, Kutch sanctuary, Lala Buster sanctuary. In Lala Buster sanctuary, in the name of protection to giving to the bustard, 32,000 prosopis were planted in the grassland in the name of giving protection. Chinkara sanctuary and Bani grassland. These are some of the grassland sanctuaries which we have in India. Next. And arid grasslands are one of the most populated, human-populated grasslands of India, of the world. And normal density in a desert is around 4 per square kilometer, and we have 83 human per square kilometer, and now the density must have gone higher. And then you can see that our almost huge population increase is taking place. Next, please. Livestock population is also, this is old data, this is again taken from the Kazrik Central Arid Zone Research Institute, and you can see the number of livestock which is going on. Next please, I will show you the fodder, and you see the fodder requirement and the number of livestock. That we say that if we have one of the largest livestock in the world, why are we not protecting the grassland on which the livestock depends? We have got around 20% of the livestock or the cattle of the world in 2.8% of the terrestrial area, and there is no attention to the grasslands on which this livestock depends. So the water requirement and the existing there's a huge gap, and this gap is increasing. Most of the people think that if you bring water, particularly I'm talking about the arid grassland, because Carl was also very interested in, we spent a huge amount of time, so I thought that I will spend some more time on this in Desert National Park as well as in Kutch. Most of the people think that if you bring water to the grassland, the grass will grow very well and everything will be very high. But you see from this picture, very easy. In the desert areas, they have their own unique system of maintaining the grasslands, and which was almost all the villagers used to have oran. Oran is a local name of the grazing area, where no other activity is allowed other than grazing, and sometimes there is a very limited grazing at that time, or they have their own control. So, and many in the olden days, they used to maintain the livestock number based on the rainfall. अभी इस साल अच्छी रेन है, आई कैन स्पीक इन हिंदी बिकॉज इट्स बेटर टू से व्हाट दे यूज्ड टू थिंक. अगर अच्छी बारिश है तो हम पूरे साल इतने लाइव स्टॉक को मेंटेन कर सकते हैं. So they used to calculate, they had their own wonderful system there. You can see this from this diagram. It is a very diagrammatic thing that depending on the water source, the livestock can walk for 2 days from the water source because surface water which is available. So beyond that they won't take the livestock because pani chahiye, because particularly cows and sheep and goats. So they will not, and then you can see the huge areas will be maintained, and possibly they will go during the monsoon, but almost 6 or 7 months they won't go to these areas because there is no water. Now you bring water, so the whole area is get overgrazed. You can take livestock everywhere, and you can increase the number of the livestock, and which has happened in the arid areas. Next please. You can see the whole Rajasthan or the whole grasslands of Rajasthan are totally. In the olden days, they say that there is a savan grass which can grow up to this height with 150 millimeter to 200 millimeter rainfall. The grass will grow up to this height. It is such a wonderful grass. It is one of the finest grass gene pool of the world, which is found in India. But it is totally neglected. Now you can see I have seen it myself in the early 80s. Miles and miles of savan grassland you can see. But now there is all overgrazed because the surface water has come out from the Indira Gandhi Canal, and there is the whole earlier system of grazing regime has collapsed because of the government policies and collapsed. So now there is everyone. It is open for everyone. There is no traditional system left. So it is totally overgrazed. Next, please. You can see where is my food. You have to ask where is the food. There is nothing. Next, please. Next. Now, in the semi-arid grasslands on which we have got in Deccan region, we have got, this is the portion of the semi-arid grasslands, and in between you can see the arid grassland which is found. Next, please. The same story of arid grassland is being repeated here in the Deccan region. Grasslands are considered as wastelands, so they have to be given for any number. And the Deccan grasslands used to cover millions of square kilometers, but now the very scattered areas are left. Sometimes 100 hectare or 200 hectare from millions of square kilometers. Cheetah is extinct, GIB is almost extinct. Lesser furkin, Indian corsair, Indian wolf, blackbuck, hyena, and many other species are found in this type of grasslands. We also have a Shola grasslands in which we have got a Nilgiri pipit, which is confined only to Nilgiri or Shola grassland, nowhere else in the whole world. It is endemic to it. And this is also found what we call it as a sky islands. It is not found in the Western Ghat is quite long, almost 1600 km long, but Nilgiri pipit is found from southern Karnataka onwards to Kerala and Tamil Nadu and Kerala. So it is not found in the whole. And this is also not found below, I think, 200 meters. It is always found above and only in the Shola grassland. So the area of occupancy is very limited. Though it looks like it is found in a big area, but it also is very specialized. It is a specialized habitat. Next slide. We have got a Tarai grasslands where myself and Carl spent a couple of days or weeks together, which are also 96% of the Tarai grasslands are gone. Almost very few are left in Durba National Park, Pilipit, Kishanpur, and Sogi Barwa and Katanya Ghat, 4 or 5 sanctuaries which this type of grasslands are left. And these are extremely important for the Bengal falcon. The similar type of grasslands are found in the Brahmaputra floodplains, and I'll go into details slightly more later on the Brahmaputra because I did this summer I did a project on the grasslands of the Brahmaputra floodplain. You can see almost 700 km in Assam is a Brahmaputra, and it used to flood and this time. So the floodplain grasslands were also present. Now I'll show you some pictures later. You can see this. Next please. In the floodplain grasslands, we have got the Manipur bush quail. The last confirmed sighting of the Manipur bush quail was in 1935, and recently in 2006 one was sighted in the sense there is no confirmation in Manas, and this summer one was sighted in Mimi in Nagaland. So there are only 2 records after 1935. No one is thinking is giving attention to this. This is almost gone. Swamp francolin, Bengal foxglove, marsh babbler, and these are the species which cannot live without the tall grasslands. So in many places these tall grasslands are converted into plantations because you have to have a target of planting trees. Next slide. Manipur, I have already spoken, and yellow beaver. Yellow beaver is one bird which was found in the Tarai of northern India as well as in the Brahmaputra floodplains. Now, yellow beaver, I have seen it only in Sukla Phata in Nepal. I have not seen it the whole during my 35-40 years of career. I have not seen it in Uttar Pradesh, and I have seen it in Manas only. There is very few population left of the yellow beaver or the fins beaver. And same thing with the black-breasted parrot. Next, please. These are the neglected grassland species where there is no MIBA. We all talk about tiger and elephant and rhino and elephant and tiger, and then this circle moves on and on and on only on Ghana and Bharatpur or those places. But what about other neglected species? The species which do not have MIBA, what we call it as a BPL species, below protection level species. So think of these species also. Think of the grey ground crania, which lives in a very narrow belt in the western Himalayas. A very narrow belt. It is found in below Mussoorie, and there is one place where they were, and there are two or three places near Nainital and other places. There is a small bird. It will disappear with no one. There is no Rudali for yellow ground crania. Rudali, I hope you know, because the professional keepers. There were a lot of professional keepers for tiger, but no one for and this is the Indian bird. No found nowhere in India and Nepal. No found nowhere else in the world. Similarly, chestnut back, laughing thrush, and all these are all birds which. Next slide, please. I will come back to the black-breasted parrotbill, on which I would like someone to do research. These are I have given the names of few species which we do not know, except for what is written in the handbook of the birds of India and Nepal by Salim Ali and Ripley. We all think that everything on birds is written by them, which is also totally wrong because science all keeps on developing. We do not know for many species, we do not even know their proper ecology. There is one bird known as a black-breasted parrotbill. There are 9 species of parrotbills in India, which is also confined to India, Nepal, and these are the Asian birds. And India has got the largest number of species of the parrotbills. And there is one parrotbill which is known as a black-breasted parrotbill, which is confined to only 2 types of grass species. In what we call as a null, just a setha jo hota, जिससे we used to make a pen or writing. Null is Arundrodonax and Phragmites carica. These are only 2 grass species in which is found. And you can see, you can't see it. According to the book, is found in the floodplains of the Brahmaputra river system. Floodplains, I told you, there is 700 kilometers in Assam and probably 100-150 kilometers in Arunachal, where they call it Siam, is Brahmaputra, is the name given to the river in Assam. And so we all think, oh, it's a long place. But in my research shows that it is found only in 5 known areas, nowhere else. Just 5 known areas in the world. And you can see, and the distance between the 2 areas, in some areas is 200 to 230, 300 kilometers. So the birds cannot move in between. There is a big fragmentation of the habitat. So this is one bird which I would like someone to do PhD, and it's a very good PhD topic to do. It will be a difficult bird to study, but it will give you wonderful information. So this is, and another thing is that it feeds on the pith of the, it is supposed to feed on the pith of the grass, and the pith of the grass is not very nutritious. So how does it survive? So this is one interesting question for a young researcher to answer that is it feeding on something else also, or it is feeding, or it is using the habitat and feeding on something else, or is feeding, how is it getting nutrition, and why it is only confined to this. And it has got a parrot bill. It's known as a parrot bill, so its bill is parrot, and like a parrot it nibbles and it drops a lot of things. So, but parrot feeds on nutritious fruits. This bird feeds on non-nutritious, supposed to be non-nutritious, I would say. These are questions I'm trying to stimulate you. These are questions that how is it surviving on that? The other parrot bills are mainly in the eastern Himalayas. But there is another black-throated parrot bill which is also found in the Himalayas, which is also of the same size, that lives in the bamboo forest. So that also probably feed on the pits and the or insects which is found there. We do not know, so not much is known about it. Next please. Another is the Somprenia. Again, Somprenia Brahmaputra floodplains and up to Bihar. From Myanmar up to Bihar, there is an old record. But when you start working on the species, then you find that it's not there. So I found it only in 2 places in the whole of my 2 or 3 years of research. And I asked a lot of people who go there. He said, "Have you seen a Somprenia?" I said, "No, only in Kaziranga. That is, everyone goes there and see the same bird or same birds, and they all think that there is found there." So there are very large number of species which we have to do reassessment of these. Somprenia also found in 2 places. Next slide. There is another slender-billed babbler, which is also a totally grassland species. It is not found anywhere outside grasslands, and we found it also in 5 or 6 places. Ecological importance of grasslands, I will say they are unique ecosystems on their own, harbor some of the most threatened species, and gene bank of present and future. Most of the grains which we eat, they come from grass. Wheat is a grass, rice is a grass. So we have to maintain their wild plants also, and then possibly we will get it. Help in soil conservation, provide fodder to the wild animals and upgrades and seeds and shelter to numerous birds. So the grasslands also have their own unique importance. We have to give attention to them. Next, please. Economic importance of grasslands, as I said, the 570 million livestock increasing. Grasslands provide fodder, animal husbandry. In Gujarat, Rajasthan, there used to be hundreds and hundreds of BDs and grass and rekhals, and there are a very large number of names because the villagers knew of the importance of the grass and the natural resources. But most of them are now considered as wastelands. And with the next slide, and with proper protection and timely protection, it has been shown many. It is not a rocket science that you can increase the yield of the grass by giving protection during the time when it has to grow, and this is the monsoon time. Sometimes you can increase the yield to 10 to 15 times, and this is experimentally proved, and the villagers also know. Like a lesser florkin, they are surviving. Lesser florkin was surviving only because villagers are protecting their grass beets, which is they call it weeds, whatever. So and they get the fodder, and in November they harvest the grass, so they get the benefit, and after that they allow the grazing of their own livestock to the other livestock. So that was the type of the landscape which they were doing it. Next, please. Livestock and the wildlife have a direct competition. Wild herbs and grasses are used due to intensive livestock. When we talk about grazing, we always say grazing is not a problem. Grazing, grass and grazers have to co-evolve together. So it is not, when we talk about overgrazing is a problem. Timely grazing, actually many places we have suggested that livestock grazing should be allowed here. Not overgrazing, grazing should be allowed here. Because the grass will grow better. Many times, particularly in the Tarai grasslands, burning is a management tool, and they do it. Forest department does it very well in many places. Burning, because most of the people think, and sometimes you also read in the newspaper, the forest is burned, forest department is not doing anything. Actually, it is a controlled burning. which they have done it. The new grass comes up, and the villagers also know that very well. Because so grazing, controlled burning. What has happened in the Tarai grasslands and many of these grasslands, that the proper grazing regime of wild ungulates, so wild animals have disappeared, because most of the time we don't have those huge herds of elephants and huge herds of buffaloes and other species like our rhino. Rhino also has evolved in the grasslands. They also maintain the grasslands for other species. In the case of the Desert National Park, they have developed, Forest Department has developed enclosures for breeding of the Great Indian Bustard. Now the Great Indian Bustard lives in short grass plains. It does not live in tall grass. Now if you overprotect it for many years, then the habitat becomes unsuitable. And the bustard, you have got your 200 or whatever, 500 hectares protected area. The birds are outside because you have overprotected. So here you have to bring your grazing regime back. Try to do it as much as possible. You have to make interventions in this. So unfortunately that is not happening. They say that if you open it for grazing, then there is no limit. I said, how to reply to this answer? There has to be a limit. If you say 500 cattle will graze, only 500 should graze and within the limited time, whatever is fine. So that sort of a thing, we have to start thinking on this. Next, please. Can we protect them without the grasslands? All this, not only birds, but can you have farm deer without the grasslands? Can you have farm rhino without the grasslands? Can you have wild buffalo without the grasslands and the hog deer and bustard without the grasslands? These are all grassland dependent species. Like tiger is a spirit of the forest. I would say that bustard is also essence of the grassland, which is one of the finest examples of the unprotected or not unprotected, protected grasslands or whatever is natural grassland, I would say, not protected. The essence of the grassland. So make this bustard as a symbol of the grasslands, and for dry grasslands, and Bengal falcon or other birds as a symbol of the wet grasslands, and many other. Next please. We have Project Tiger, we have got Project Elephant, and both protect forest ecosystems. We have got a Project Snow Leopard, but why not Project Bustards or Project Grasslands? All these three projects do not protect the grasslands. So we should also have a Project Bustards or Project Grassland, whatever you may call it. It is the same thing. You protect the grassland, you protect the grassland birds. You protect the grass for the birds, you benefit the local community. So it is. I have shown it that reason for Project Bustard and Project Grassland is that we need cooperation among the states, publicity, sponsorship for funding, and very research implementation of the findings. A lot of research has been done on grasslands and grass ecosystems, but it is not implemented in the field. Kazri and there is a Grassland Research Institute in Jhansi, and a lot of universities have done it. WII has done a lot of studies on the grass ecosystems, but those results are not implemented. We still have the Campa fund for afforestation, and Campa fund was given because of whatever reasons. The 38,000 crore rupees is there. Now they say that greening of India where will it take place? It will take place in the wetlands and the grasslands, because forest there is no place left. Next please. And if we have this project grasslands, we will protect all these species, and they are all scheduled 1 species or red listed species. Next please. I've got a long list. There was a task force on the grasslands, deserts and grasslands developed. So in the 11th 5-year plan, 5-year plans have got now, we got a Niti Ayog. I hope Niti Ayog will also think of ecosystems. Next please, these are the task force. And the task force was development of national grazing policy. We have got the largest livestock population in the world, but we do not have a national grazing policy. We do not have a land use policy, unfortunately. Control of invasive species has become a huge problem in the grasslands. Grass growers, the task force gave all these recommendations. I was also a member of the task force that grass growers cooperative societies should be developed, and provide traditional practices should be revived wherever it is possible, because we have to learn from good practices, and very good practices used to take place in India. And we also have to develop many places. We don't have to develop protected areas in the sense that sanctuaries, because sanctuaries have got their own rules and regulations. In many of these grasslands or landscape sanctuaries, we have to make them as a community conserved reserves, where communities are also involved, and they have to be involved, and the rules are slightly different, and natural resources are used. And a policy should be formulated to regulate inter-state movement of livestock, to enable states to control grazing pressure in eco-sensitive areas, need to start project clusters. That was also given by the task force. Provision of sustainable supply of fuel to be undertaken to newly created. In Gujarat, there used to be a wonderful system of wheat development, and they had the grass divisions also in some places. Near Dahod, there used to be a 20-hectare grass, 20 square kilometer grass field, and there was a full division. The ranger was looking after the grass field. But unfortunately, in the last 10 years, they have planted trees on there, because under the Campa fund. So they have also destroyed that grass. But we need to have this necessary modification should be required in the new EIA guidelines by including ecologically fertile and environmentally sensitive areas of grasslands and deserts, where prior EIA, at present, EIA is not very strict as far as the grasslands is concerned, only in the forest there. So we have also suggested that in the grasslands also we should have the EIA mandate. Next. These are some of the long-term ecological researches. A lot of things were suggested by them. Grassland is not a wasteland. Unfortunately, in nature there is no waste. Only we have created waste. The word does not exist. Someone's body is others' food. Or when the elephant dies, it becomes a food for many other things. So, and the same thing happens with the seed. The same thing happens with the fallen log. They say that there is life in the dead wood. It looks very contradictory, but dead wood gives life to hundreds of things, species. So, develop a natural stock plantation. Challenges which are present. First of all, we have to stop the use of the wasteland. And we have the wasteland development board we used to have, but we do not have a grassland development board, unfortunately. Revive traditional use wherever possible, and research on the grassland species. Stolen grasslands of Karnataka, I am sure some of you must have heard about it. 4,000 hectares of grassland was given to recently, 2 years ago, without the permission of the villagers, without even telling the villagers. One day, villagers came to know that someone is doing the survey of that area. I said, what are you doing? He said, and then after a few months, they found that the wall is being built in their land, where they were using traditionally for many generations. Because they were grasslands, the Forest Conservation Act does not apply. And EIA is not done properly because it's a wasteland act. So nearly 4,000 hectares was given to this, and I suggest that you please go through this beautiful, it is also present in the website, on the web, all the details are given. And it's a very beautiful, moving documentary on that, how their grassland was stolen by the government, and nearly 200 hectares is given to the Indian Institute of Science. Nearly 800 hectares is given, or something, I forgot the detail, is given to DRDO and Defense, and these are all grassland species, grassland in Karnataka. That's why I call it stolen grasslands of Karnataka. How we see grasslands, I'll finish it quickly. For conservationists, grasslands of high biodiversity value and total protection should be given. This is also extreme on some case. For forester, good areas for plantation to achieve Campa targets. For farmers, good for grazing. For district administration and politicians, these are the land banks for distribution. For industrialization and housing. They see grass and land. They don't see grass, they see only land, which should be used for some other purpose. So the grass is taken out from the mindset, taken for development. Unless we change our policies and thinking about grasslands and wetlands. Wetlands also is wet and land. I got a lecture on the wetland there also. Stop calling wet. This is the biggest challenge facing our grassland ecosystems. Will you save my habitat? This is a Hubara bustard's plea. It lives only in the grassland, nowhere else in the world. Thank you very much.